To state of play, by the way, the Napo, and I like the the flyer we put out today. He's seated very comfortably on the elephant. He's owned it completely. Agbena. So where about me? But you know, interesting. He asked a question. I'm told when he met the president, when Bawumia met the president, I'm told that the president actually asked that question. Are you sure? Are you sure you can manage Napo? Are you? Well, I mean, he justified it. I mean, he gave the president a good reason why. Because Napo is a very, very, very strong individual, strong character, very charismatic. We know him. I mean, is that an issue?
Well, it depends on how you look at it. It could be an issue.
Because if you see
it may not be an issue.
On the back of that elephant, he's left no space for anybody. He's left no space for anybody. He's left no space for anybody else. Completely.
It depends on how things turn out. Now, with Bawumia saying Mumfasti Anamame, it means that he knows what it takes to be a vice president and he knows the powers that a president has. So if he's really going to be in charge, then Napo would have to understand right from the get-go that, hey, young man, you are definitely going to be my assistant and not going to be the one in charge. Would he understand? I think that he would understand. And I say that he would understand, yes. I mean, we can have the argument that, in the last few months or weeks to the announcement, he's put on this, what Mimini would term as Kramayaho Brassier, wherever he sees the president, he bends down, he bends in front of the vice president and all of that. But this is it for me. In his own interest, Napo must not be seen as one trying to overshadow the vice president. In his own interest. Because of his own presidential ambition, he must make sure that he doesn't do anything that would hurt his ambition. And if there's anything he can learn from how Bawumia, until this year, had comported himself. Until he started saying that I was
but it's also a question of DNA, right? Mm-hmm. That is in Bawumia's DNA. But is what you're suggesting in Napo's DNA?
Acquah, before he became president, the man that people had issues with people termed as arrogant. By 2016, when Acquah was going to eat with people, drinking sachet water.
You said by 2016.
Yeah, so he can also learn.
It took him 3 elections.
But he can learn. So I am saying that at this point in time, Napo has the nod. He must not be Napo. Okay? He must not be, look.
You know something I say? Mm-hmm. You are asking him to fight nature and win.
No. It's not fighting nature.
They help you. No.
Look, when he was in opposition, before he came, when he was in opposition, we saw him. He wasn't. When in opposition, there was Napo this way. So it's actually.
So you think he's reformed?
So he can actually go back to. Yes, he can actually go back to those days. I think that Bawumia, in selecting Napo, selected him because Bawumia can appeal to non-NPP voters. He needs somebody, because in your second term going into a third term, you have to fight apathy. You need somebody who can galvanize the party. And the party's belief is that is Napo.
Oh, then he should have chosen Kennedy Japan.
Well, Kennedy Japan.
Good for good. Kennedy Japan can rally more than Napo.
Yeah, but you also look at other things. You
also look at other things.
Yes.
Certainly. So those other things would matter. See, it wouldn't have been a big. I think that Napo's problem is Napo. Essentially. There are candidates whose problems they buy. They sometimes get it as somebody else putting on them. So, for example, ideally, Bawumia's main problems, sometimes you can't even blame him for it. The man says he is the mate, so essentially, it is difficult to blame him for so many other things, even though he claims other things. But Napo's problems, predominantly Napo induced. The times, and I kept saying this even before they took him to energy, the times you heard Napo make bold statements about flagship free SHS, it always drew some controversy. And do you know where the controversy was? It's not over whether he made an actual statement or not. It was over whether he was insulting somebody or making inappropriate references to. So the politic back conversation came in. The other one, what did he say about? I think it's Nana General that Sempa Studio too. People took exception to that because we felt down.
And then I remember also when the parents were queuing, and then he accuses the parents were queuing NDC people went brought them
along the line. There was some time that I think is what these technical teaching. How do you call them? The College of Education.
Teacher trainees, teaching College of Education.
Yes. The man sat in the studio. I don't know what the station is, but the show was in my chair or something. Gave details and told the people that it's because they failed what do you call it, the exams like the other people. That's why they couldn't get into the universities, the diploma people. That the people were protesting. He told them in a radio station studio, giving that analysis on the face of it. It might be factual that some of them did not get the requisite place. But why is the minister?
And then this year when Doom.
Oh yeah, I think I went to this. There are so many in between that time. So in fairness, even this year alone, when the names started coming up, as in forcefully and it was so obvious he was going to get it. Napo chose every slight opportunity, even before this year's matter. You remember the Keita issue?
Yeah.
At the time that the people had flooding and they were worried and all of that, Apple sat in a Sempa studio. So he will lead demonstration. If we gave them more money, relief money, to people who had actually had their homes destroyed and everything. So, I mean, there's redemption for some people, but it's taking him too long to read the room. That is problematic.
So,
even this year, even the last few months, even his most recent comment on the is it Doomsday and Doomsday?
But that's the point I made. I thought you were disagreeing with that. You are asking him now to fight nature.
See, Napo is not the first politician in this world. We are not saying it's the
and you think that he would still.
Our current president, had to. Some of them were ridiculous claims.
Yeah.
Had to transform into a Nanado who was so affable.
Let's fix your microphone. Let's fix it. And apologies if you're not.
Oh, you cannot hear me.
Because there's a slight challenge with your. Yeah, I know you have something to say.
Yeah, but you see, just adding up to what Raymond said about Nanado, and look, everybody, no matter your problem, you can be redeemed at a point. I will go back to, say, Professor Mills. When Professor Mills started, many of us said he was, these are boys say, oh, he's dull, he'd be dull. But by 2008, Professor Mills was not they may pass him.
Yeah,
2014.
2012.
2012, yeah, changed.
2013.
Yes.
That Supreme Court.
The election petition hearing. It changed him. The point I'm trying to make is that there are some people who, when they get power, it affects them sometimes negatively. Now, the good thing about power also is that there may be people who will be truthful to you and tell you, Dak, you are getting it wrong. Now, if you speak to the handlers of Napo today, one of the things they will tell you is that apart from political party platforms, Napo as running mate would not do too many interviews because, the reality is that you go and tell him it is Dumso, he may say that, oh, this is not Dumso. And I've had people who are very close to him saying, well, look, Evans Mensah is explaining the problems we're faced with. And he says, well, we may want to come up with a timetable, but we don't have a definite load that we shed all the time. So we don't even know how we're going to say, today, Domi, you have to go off. Tomorrow, you have to go off. Because today we're shedding 100, tomorrow we're shedding 150, the next time it's 200. So we don't know what to do. Give us some time. We are working on it. Then the man says, bring your own timetable. people have tried to explain. But the long and short of it is that I think Napo's selection is more to deal with the NPP grassroots, who anyway love him so much, and you know it. Go down.
Especially in the Ashanti region.
They love him. So I mean, the party at a point in time, and I'm told that I learned that Dr. Digitalization at a point said he wanted the data to do the speaking. I've talked about a confirmatory research. Raymond may disagree with me, but I thought that it was a confirmatory research. I really wanted to find out, yes, why, but don't we know that the research by the National Intelligence Bureau was given to all those, and all of a sudden we realized that people were in line to become running mates. All those who wanted it were giving the research that when they went on this thing. I think that Napo going forward, the pressure that would be on him, he would learn that this is not you sitting in Kumasi and saying, go and bring your own.
But you raise a point which is at the heart of our conversation today. So he's been chosen primarily because he rubs up well with the grassroots, and particularly in the Ashanti region. And we've always said that after 8 years, one of the biggest threats you face is apathy and complacency.
Exactly.
And I was making a point to an MP yesterday, and there are two things that will kill you after 8 years. One, the people in government and associates of the incumbent party who have become very comfortable to the point where they become complacent, and the group of supporters who are disillusioned because they've been left out of the enjoyment. Okay, so this group of two people, the first group, they are so complacent, the stuff they say and the way they carry themselves about put other people off. So then they are also taking other people off the ball when it comes to voting for you. That second group of people, they are so very upset that they've been left out, that they're not enthused to go and vote. And what they say when they are in public places and etc. I mean, we all had people who we know are former NPP, supporters and backers tell us that they're not going to vote anymore this year, and they're disappointed. They affect everybody else. So you need somebody who can galvanize the base. But Napo, we all agree, will do that, especially in the Ashanti region, where they need their people to come out in their strong numbers to vote. Beyond that, does he appeal to the generality of the Ghanaian electorate? Because they cannot win elections with only their base. They need to cross that. They need to cross beyond the base. Does he bring that to the table? Or he doesn't need to, because maybe Bawumia is already going to do that?
Well, I mean, Bawumia is going to be the man on the ballot. What I see happening in Napo's case, to be very honest with you, if you were to put Napo out there, a lot of Ghanaians would have some Ghanaians would have issues with him outside of the NDC. So I'm not going to say that only the NDC would have issues with him.
NPP.
I'm making the point that, when I say Ghanaians, ordinarily you would expect the NDC to have issues with him. But these are even non-NDC members and non-MPP members. So you're looking at the floating voters. Some would have issues with him because when it comes to his handling of the energy crisis, let me be very honest with you, he has not handled it well.
In fact, the NIB report mentions that.
Yes, he has not handled it well by his communication on the matter. Maybe he could be working. We're told of how they tried to get light crude oil in the last time, some 495,000 barrels of it. But when it comes to communication, he has failed woefully on doing so.
You've said something before, that as far as the ticket is concerned, if you cannot add anything to it, don't
subtract.
Exactly. So does he take away?
So the takeaway, we'd have to look at it in this perspective. Why was he brought on board? He was brought in to actually deal with the party's base in the Ashanti region. And we've had that conversation before. I have always insisted, and I know everyone would agree with me, that this whole thing, the party must choose a running mate from Ashanti region, I don't see the data that backs it anyway. But
when Isaac Mensah said the same thing, they were attacking.
But you see,
because some people have framed it that way. Because what's important, if you don't frame it that way, some candidates will not be.
Yeah. So now that
it's difficult for others to win.
So now that the party says we need the Ashanti region votes, fine. Let them go into the Ashanti region and try to get a vote. So if you're bringing Napo to actually help the party win in Ashanti region, he can do that for you. Now, the point is, will Napo hurt the party's chances beyond the Ashanti region? His actions in the coming days will show. If you look at him today, you can say, if he continues like the way he's been going on, he probably could. But if he changes his ways, then we would say let's wait for the coming events to actually show you whether or not Napo would hurt Bawumia's chances. But if he was brought to get votes in the Ashanti region, which the NPP believes that if they get up to 80%, of course, we have always said if they get 80% of the votes in the Ashanti region, I tell you,
they should win the national election.
The elections are over.
They should.
If they get 80% of the votes in, unless they perform poorly in the other regions.
Yeah, other regions.
But if they
particularly in Easting.
Yes, but if they get
Easting too.
But if they get 80% national and they get 60% in the Eastern region, the elections have become very difficult for the NDC.
Even in the Ashanti region, Napo would have to manage a relationship with his regional chairman and other people who have had fundamental problems with him, including some of the people who are members of the campaign today.
But I think if it's confirmed, everybody will fall in line.
No, you see, politics is a bit more convoluted than that. You need people bringing not only their constituencies to the table. That's also where the difficulty has been with Napo. He's not being... He's the take no prisoners kind of person. So unless somebody else is the one doing the conciliatory talks, he cannot. I hope you get what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm. But Wontumi is a businessman. So
already there are factions in there that have difficulties with, first and foremost, Bawumia as an individual. Secondly, with the number 2 choice. So having to move it beyond these difficulties and rally will be difficult. Now, it is absolutely true. And see, Napo has people like Vincent, people like Nana B, people like leadership in the party and all of that. Mm-hmm. But sometimes we exaggerate his influence in the region.
You think his influence in the region is...
I mean, it is... I do not know how they come to some of the conclusions that they come about, for instance, Napo's influence in the Ashanti region.
I mean, so you're doubting his influence?
I am insisting that he doesn't command the kind of influence that mostly is attributed to him. And maybe if things will change, or maybe because today, there are constituencies, even as running mate, he cannot tell constituency chairman what to do. Yeah. Today. No, because he's not been speaking to them for God knows how long. So it's not easy going out there and say, oh yes, he can rally. I suspect that for a party that wants to win the election, and because the Ashanti region is absolutely important, because Evans Mensah, 1.1 million votes there. Yeah. If you get it settled, you extend it to 1.2 million and put it in some corner. You add the voter region, you add some northern region, 1 or 2 regions of the north, which may be your biggest problem. Then you know the difference. Now you have to fight over a certain, about 100,000 votes spread across. That is the advantageous position the NPP finds itself. And historically, whenever the NPP had won elections, post-Rollins's time, they'd won with a higher margin than the NDC because of how huge that section provides the votes to its table. So it's important. Now, if you pile up all the other factors against the ticket itself, I struggle to see where Napo then becomes a very great factor to pull any votes in any direction.
Beyond Ashanti region,
you know,
the grassroots.
During the economic difficulties in 2016, you could tell everybody that even if it might not be the realistic point now, no, I'm not saying what Kwesi Pratt is saying. If it might not be the realistic point now.
Are you referring to the teas?
Yes, you could tell everybody that Bawumia is the economic solution to this country. He was running mate. It was so clear from the beginning. Those 2 lectures drummed home. You can't say the same about Napo in any capacity. So Bawumia was a pulling factor for a certain group of people who were fed up with the usual kind of politics that we were doing and needed somebody who was outside, academics could identify. And not being able to do the politics the way others wanted it was a great sign for him. Today, I cannot say the same about Napo in any sector. You get my point?
Or even he did fairly well in the education sector.
No, I'm not saying he didn't do well, but the criteria is not whether or not you've handled the ministry before.
Yeah, Raymond, but I think that...
The criteria is that we believe there are some extraordinary competencies that immediately we drop you into the sector, you fix it. You get my point?
Yeah.
The problems with education today will not be fixed by having Napo as vice president of the
but Raymond, I think that in selecting Napo, I mean, from all the things all of us have learned, it looks more like one who was selected to please the party. Now, you may have your, I mean...
But that's dangerous, right?
Yes,
I mean, that's a point that Raymond is making. I'm also
but you see, the point also is that we've talked about the apathy going into, I mean...
I think so. They've done an analysis and say...
After your second...
That's the biggest...
So I see the party trying to say, let's get somebody. And because when you speak to some of the party executives, what they tell you is that everywhere they go, they will say, Mumfana Pomra.
Well, for parties executives, everybody know they were in the packet of Napo before now. So, I mean, clearly.
Yes, you know, so...
What they dictate.
Let's say, but you see, so when it happens like that, if you're Bawumia, you've already gone to, I mean, I don't know what you told the people in the Ashanti region, but Joe Sewusu was on your show, PM Express, saying an agreement has been reached in principle.
And it should come from there.
And it should come from the Ashanti region. And the consistent travels of Bawumia to the Ashanti region suggested that he was courting the Ashanti region. And so then you'd have to look at it. Of all the names that came up, Raymond, in the Ashanti region, who was better placed to be running mate?
You had a Duchum.
No. Educhum.
Actually, when it comes to appeal to the greater population of this country, see,
Educhum would have
even intellectuals outside the party, and all of the people who could identify with the Bawumia candidature way back in 2015, 2014. Educhum stood a better chance than that.
But when it comes to appeal
to the base
of the party in the Ashanti region and in the country,
but also plus, I think he's too similar.
Yes,
to Bawumia.
Bawumia must get someone who is not like him.
Yeah,
but
you don't want people who are the same in their outlook on life.
Bawumia would want somebody who's different from him.
Yeah.
And he gets that person in Napo. I understand. I get Raymond's point. Why not go for Canadian Japan? You know,
if you want to just post opposite,
you're not going to go. You're not going to go for Canadian Japan. He settled.
But he's even back on the campaign, and you see, even his people who are angry at him, look at how they thrown the place. Not because they really like Bawumia or anything, but because Kennedy Japan is on the ground.
You know the thing about Kennedy Japan, it's actually interesting. He's never been mentioned in the scheme of things, right?
No. Because people just wish. In fact, there was some indication that why not even risk it with him if he's going to deliver the ticket.
If they had gone for Kennedy Japan, I'll tell you one thing. There are a lot of independent Ghanaians who feel that Ghana needs a president like Kennedy Japan.
Yeah, that's what I was going to make the point.
I mean, I was surprised.
I've heard educated.
We had middle class people floating voter, typical elite Ghanaian, telling me they actually like the guy.
Yeah,
you know. So, but of course, but he's not in the race. It's okay. I mean, that's
so, I think that Napo.
So, but here's the thing: we're assuming too much that we know that this is fait accompli.
Oh no, baby, injury there clearly.
But I know people are still campaigning.
Yes.
Somebody sends an emissary to come and come tell me that they want to come on the show. And I'm like, but we are still.
No.
I thought the thing was over. Sometimes. So there are people who still believe this thing is not over.
People believe that things can change because we are still talking about Napo here.
It won't change.
Do you get my point?
At this point in time,
people believe that when a lot of pressure is mounted indirectly.
There's a part of me that want to leave this 5% room to say
for possible change.
Yeah, for a surprise.
I doubt if it will be. See, now you create more chaos by the extent to which the Napo machinery has concluded the entire country in the path of Napo. I hope you get my point. You create more chaos, especially if you are not choosing even the person from the Ashanti region again. Then you are going to worsen the matter. Because, see, I agree that there was a certain feeling when Alan left that Asante is being thrown out of the NPP. Let's not get it wrong at all. It was there. That feeling got a lot of people going in the direction of Kennedy Japan without he even working for it. For some people, they felt, no, anybody but Bawumia. So I think this is also known to the people. That is why the consistent refrain comes in there.
I'll tell you one thing, Raymond. If there's one thing Napo really did very well at, is that he really made it very difficult for the party not to choose him.
Impossible.
He made it very difficult. He made it impossible for Bawumia to overlook him.
Yeah.
Because I mean, look, he really worked this, and I've told you before that prior to election 2020, at the time, you had I met some guys who at the time were saying, oh, somebody said, oh, this is going to be Dr. Bawumia's campaign coordinator in this part of the country. 2020, before the elections. And in that discussion, I was told that, oh, Bawumia ne Kanafrata de Nyejuma. Now, is the Bawumia ne Napo. That was before election 2020. By 2021, when we were assessing ministers, I mean, when we credited Educhum for the transformation of the education ministry, I got a call from one of my very good friends. I don't have the permission to mention his name. But he wanted to meet me so badly. I didn't understand. He said, oh, I don't know. Oh, no, he said about me, we need as a vice president, and they do one. And what shall I say, Senny? You know, that kind of thing. Then he started working. Prior to that, the Ashanti professionals, Raymond used to be part of it. I don't know whether he's still part of it.
I'm not part of that.
The Ashanti professionals.
That's part of the group.
The Ashanti professionals, I mean, we would have party, Napo would be there. I mean, they cherished him. He had made it very impossible for Bawumia to overlook him. So, and then Bawumia says, somebody advises him, go around with some names. Then that person tells me that, well, everywhere they went, for some reason, I don't know what Napo has done to the people. I'm actually editing what the person said. But everywhere we went, they said Napo. So you might as well give it to him.
Another question that we have to pause. If we all say that this is...
But of course, once an announcement has not been made, anything can happen.
Yeah, I'm saying I want to lose that 5%
of course,
room there.
In politics, everything is possible.
Something may happen. Yeah, of course.
Everything is
politics.
possible.
It's politics.
In fact, the people who have engineered Napo is the only option. Or engineer a purportedly chaotic situation, even the other person's mentioned. I'm not like.
No, of course, it's possible.
Yes, because you see now when we have reached, there is no alternative conversation.
I know, but so let's assume.
But there's a lot of work that's required. I mean,
absolutely.
I think you do a lot of work to get Napo to where. Let's be clear, Napo represents a certain old kind of politics. The tough guy, bravado, the tough speaking kind of person. The only time we make room for that was in Akufo-Addo's case. Because in his case, we thought that represented no corruption. We also thought that that represented a guy who was a bit of runnings in there with, I will do it, I will deliver, and on the ground. I'm not so sure whether that's also a key attribute that everybody would want in the vice president. When we all know what the vice president does in reality. You get my point.
But let's, before we end, so we have an election. Bawumia is really, the odds are against him, first of all. What if he doesn't win elections? And Bawumia doesn't win elections, and he has Napo on the ticket, and both of them go into opposition. And the next flag bearer race comes around. Has anybody stopped to think what happens?
Some say
I've heard people say that's a danger. That
he's in the position to, but see the alternative
that he may then become the main contender.
I get you. Some have actually, I said it before that one of the reasons why you need to clip Napo and put him in your team is to prevent him from now contesting you in the future.
I have said that.
But how does this clip him?
No, because
it's in his own interest.
Because you see, people will say that but you were not loyal to your boss.
Yes.
The man chose you against all the odds.
We're talking about politics.
I get you. But you see, it's also possible that people would actually exploit that.
Yeah.
So some have said that. On the other hand, this thing is also true that if you let the guy to sit outside, now that he's closer to you and now he gets to go around the country and people see him as presidential material, and when he changes a few things about him, he doesn't carry as much baggage in government like you, Bawumia, because of what he has done and what you have also done. So there may be difficulty in saying, Bawumia, let's choose a different person. Let's get a different person who will freshen up the candidature and make it work for you. That will not be out of range. In fact, in that case, it is when you are going for presidency. If Matthew Pepe is actually contesting Bawumia today, that is when you realize there are people who can put aside differences and say, oh, no. Presidents need there. You have to work strong.
Well, let me just read this message from our own Joshua Tigo of Adoma. It says, You know my candid opinion on this running mate thing? Engineer Kwabena Japan would have done the trick for Bawumia. He satisfies all key points you guys have raised on the show so far. A stark opposite of Bawumia's persona, a true party man, an Ashanti, and very articulate and very clear in his communication.
We had this conversation here
that,
one time.
I agree. They said that Kwabena Japan roots, no, it's not as strong as
In Ashanti, no.
No, I mean,
The
not
roots
just
in
in
Ashanti.
Ashanti. See, hold on. There is also a bit of resource required in this conversation.
Yeah, he doesn't have it.
He doesn't have what it takes to do that, even for his
Maybe
own
he can
campaign
mobilize.
Previously.
No, he raises.
No, I actually thought he was a fine candidate. When he was moving around Bawumia, I thought he was being considered.
Well, we had this conversation.
Yes,
here.
yes.
But he still wants it anyway.
Today, any day, boot for boot, Kwabena Japan is a better debater, is a better politician than Martin Opoku.
A few of the other comments, Opani.
Opinion and open.
Opini.
Why did you? I'm not seeing that things.
I spied it.
Opini Anasi. That's you.
No,
It's the brother Opini Anasi.
No. My Facebook name is simple. I don't do pseudo accounts.
No. Okay, but he has said that he's clearly.
I don't do pseudo
Opini
accounts.
Anasi. There's no human beings in NPP. Adama says, I feel NPP has lost the battle for selecting him as his comments and personality.
I mean, nobody can come to that conclusion. I think that sometimes we should, but anyway, he feels.
Well, Ezekiel says no one is ready for this embarrassment, so Napo is the one who deserves it. And then Pedro Maldina Cruz says, watching you live and clear inside Indianapolis, Kumasi, Tesano, Kespen Junction.
Indianapolis as well.
Indianapolis, Kumasi.
Oh, it's possible, yeah. But Shaman has what they call
Kuwait and whatever.
In that case, reminding me that serious Evans, Napo is a man who have masses in the NPP and NDC, okay? Mala says, I'm tempted to believe, right, he has people in the NDC too?
Oh, you know his best friend?
Who?
His best friend is a former minister in the NDC government.
Oh yeah. I mean, he was on my show one of the days praising him.
And he's mentioned it before.
And that was the first time I was like, wow, that's just interesting.
Yeah, he's mentioned it before, openly. That's his best friend.
Openly, yeah. I mean,
he said that his best friend is Napo. He's not hidden it. He said it.
I thought that was interesting. And then Mala says, I'm tempted. This is Joy News, yes.
Okay, all right.
I'm tempted to believe what Raymond is saying. I lived in Adobira in Ashanti region from, what's that? Okay, well, I can't pronounce the name properly. From 2016 to date. But I have never seen Napo around the area for campaign and youth within the area know Ken than Napo for galvanizing the base. Ken, who's Ken?
Ken Japan.
Oh yeah, of course, Ken Japan. Okay.
So
Bawumia and Napo is from royal family, and due to that, chiefs in Ashanti region under the Ashanti Hene Kingdom is going to pull double for him.
Okay, that's somebody's comment there, right? I'm ignoring Trinidad's own. It has some ethnocentric tones to it, so yeah, that's why I'm ignoring it. But Arito Bevi says, Evans says Napo is charismatic. This match is doctor plus doctor. Going to Ghana, starting preparing your own calendar. This one says he's arrogant. It's like giving Ghanaians pepper and salt soup to eat. What's pepper and salt soup?
Try it.
Yes. This one says no matter how you package Napo, Ghanaians are finished. For me, Matopoku Pepper selection as a running mate, that's Musa Abattoir. That is his name. All right. Yeah. For raises serious questions about credibility and competence. What else is Musa Abattoir say? This choice seems ill-advised and undermines the seriousness of the NPP's campaign. Pedro Maldina. Oh, come on. Monitoring you live. Oh, this is also the comment that you read. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's one here from.
So this one says, so for 3 journalists there, a lane of movement. Alan's movement for change, I think that's what you want to say, won't get any percentage in Ashanti region. Shallow arguments. But did we say that?
I have no idea.
Was there any suggestion in...
No, nobody has said that. Nobody has said Alan won't get any percentage.
Arito Bevi Acquah.
We have actually said...
it looks like you're not listening
to us. Nobody has said that Napo's MP is going to get 100% or whatever in the Ashanti region.
In fact, yeah, even the 80%.
We have said if. We've said if.
Maybe he's got extrapolation from what he has heard from other areas too.
Okay.
So, yes.
Anyway, Jujay says, good afternoon from Liberia. Thanks for joining us from there. Anyway, we'll see. By next week, I'm predicting by
until by Tuesday,
by close of next week,
outdooring would happen.
We should know. We should know.
No, hold on. You said out there, no. You said we should know.
Yeah, by Tuesday, outdooring of Napo.
But you also leave 5% chance. 5% is very big. Oh, if you have confidence interval of 5%,
anything is possible.
It's politics.
The man can sleep today and change his mind.
Yeah, something might happen. Somebody might bring him something on Napo that nobody.
The man can change his mind.
People, nobody's having to change his mind. No, it's politics.
Until then, it's done. Until then, it's done.
We'll see. Anyway, so next week maybe we'll be back here talking about it's been confirmed, and then we'll see. Enjoy the rest of the day.